What's your view on what should happen with the Supreme Court here in the UK?
Well, we don't want another independence referendum right now. I think your correspondent said a few minutes ago, Scotland's quite divided. If you're a nationalist, you probably want another referendum. If you're not, you don't. The country's been through 2 of these in the last decade, one in Scotland and then the Brexit referendum. And we're now in a situation where we've got a major cost of living crisis, a major energy price crisis. If I was living in Scotland now, I don't anymore, the issue that I'd have been most struck by this week would have been the discussion among senior NHS managers to introduce charging in a 2-tier service to undermine the whole concept of the NHS. So there's plenty of issues for the Scottish Government to focus on rather than this never-ending constitutional wrangling.
Do you think that people who can afford it should pay to go and see the doctor?
No. I think that would undermine the basic principle of the NHS. It's there to be free at the point of use for people of all incomes and all backgrounds, and I don't want to see it fractured in that way.
What do you think about the Prime Minister allegedly paying £250 to see the doctor? It's his money, it's up to him.
It is. That choice to use private healthcare is always available to people, and I don't criticise anyone for making that choice. It's not just about someone like the Prime Minister, who's quite a wealthy man. There are some people who don't have a lot of money who find that because of the waiting lists that they are being forced to use their life savings or making a decision to do that because of waits, sometimes of years. So I don't criticise anyone for making that choice, but my focus is to make the NHS so good that people don't feel pressured into making that choice. And that's what happened the last time Labour was in government. Use of private healthcare declined because we managed to get the waiting list down, we managed to get the waiting times down, and the service was at such a high level of satisfaction that people didn't feel pressured into making that kind of choice.
Yeah, it wasn't an ideal situation with lots of different
aspects. It was an awful lot better than it is now.
Well, so just to clarify, Labour supports the Prime Minister using private healthcare if he wants to?
It's his free choice to do so. My focus, as I said, is on making the NHS so good that people don't feel they have to make that choice. And
do you think that people from overseas should be allowed to come into the UK to fill the jobs vacancies that are presently in place in the NHS?
There'll always be a need for people to come here and work hard. My own parents did this, and I want to thank everybody who's come from overseas to work hard, to make a new life here. But at the same time as that always being part of our labour market, it's of course right that we do everything we can to train and equip our own workers, to try to get some of the hundreds of thousands of people who've left the labour market since COVID back into work. Both of these things are going to be necessary if we're going to be able to fill the vacancies we've got.
So does that mean, because we of course heard, didn't we, from your leader yesterday at the CBI, was what he was saying meaning that immigration will go up or down?
He was asked this yesterday, I think, and he said it's not a matter of putting a target on it, it's the system that you have, and the system you have will be informed by your labour market needs. So, we don't want to see sectors just collapsing because they can't have staff. We've got the Migration Advisory Committee. We want to give that a beefed-up role right across government, constantly reviewing this. But where immigration takes place, where people come here, be on a different basis to the past because we're now outside the European Union. But both, talent from overseas, energy from overseas and hard work from overseas, both that and training and equipping our own workers will be part of the labour market in the future.
And how would you make that happen?
Well, we've got a points-based system. People will apply.
But how does a points-based system work for a cleaning lady or a cleaning gentleman from Romania?
Well, someone from Romania or anywhere else will apply for the right to come and work here. And we've got this body, the Migration Advisory Committee. They look at the sectors, they look at the shortages. You've got agricultural workers as well, for example, where there are particular pressures. So you do this on the basis of advice for your economy. But it's really important that the UK remains open to talented, hard-working people from around the world, and we will.
So Labour accepts that we have got an ageing population, more people are over 65 than under 16, and we need more people to come in to help support our society.
We're always going to need some. I don't want to put a figure on it, But at the same time as
I know,
that...
I keep pushing you, won't give me one.
Yeah, and I won't, because at the same time, we've got to train and equip our own workers. We've got to make sure, for example, we've got a policy for a breakfast club for every primary school, and you might say, what's that got to do with this? If we had that, it would mean that more young parents could get to work and wouldn't have to make that difficult choice about when they can drop the children off and so on. We've got 500,000 people, they're mostly older, who've left the labour market since COVID. Can we do more to give them the help and support needed to get back into work? I think we can, and that makes sense to do too.
OK, when you say older, I prefer the term more experienced, but there we go. Talk to me about the rail strikes. Are we supporting them this time round or not?
We don't want to see these strikes because they will cause huge inconvenience to the public. This has been going on for, what, 6 months now? And I think the government's got to engage, because with rail strikes around the country, with people not being able to get a GP appointment, there are all these services that aren't working as they should, and it just feeds into this sense that Britain isn't operating properly, and the government can't stand back and just watch that happen.
So was that a yes or a no to supporting rail strikes?
It's not a matter of supporting strikes. I never want to see strikes happen.
So you don't support these rail strikes?
I understand why people want a pay rise. These things should be resolved round the negotiating table with the union and the employers. That's what's going to happen in the end. So if it happens sooner, that's much better than more inconvenience over Christmas and the New Year.
Yeah, but if these people go on strike, if the rail workers go on strike, then it's going to impact on shops,
Of course
hospitality.
it is. That's why I don't want to see the strikes. I want to see an added impetus to negotiation. Ministers not standing back. Let's try and get a settlement for this, because it's a dispute that's been going on for about 6 months now.
I spoke to your colleagues, actually, both your colleagues earlier on this week, Monday and Tuesday, when they were sat exactly where you were, and I was asking them whether they supported David Beckham and his support for the Qatar regime during the World Cup. What do you think?
I think there's too much of a sense of control from FIFA and Qatar around this World Cup. I'm looking at all this policing of what team captains can wear on their armbands, what it can say on your shirt, even the hats people can wear. I think they need to be a bit more relaxed, let people enjoy the football. This doesn't feel so far like a happy World Cup, and I want to see a happy World Cup.
Yeah, but what about one of our national heroes being an ambassador for that sort of behaviour?
Well, that's his decision. But I think that the atmosphere around this World Cup has not been the joyful festival of football that fans like me have always enjoyed when we've watched the World Cup in the past. And, you know, that's a shame. And I just hope that the football authorities learn from some of the experiences over the last few weeks.
Are you supporting England or Wales?
I'm supporting England and Wales and the British teams to do as well as possible.
OK, who do you want to win?
You know, I'd love one of the British teams to win the World Cup.
You're such a politician.
If that can't happen, do you know I've hardly watched any of it so far?
Really? Did you see Argentina got bashed?
I didn't see Argentina. Well, I saw the result,
yeah.
But I've hardly watched a kick so far because I've been so busy in Parliament. So maybe at the weekend I'll actually get to watch a couple of games.
Well, you should see the England game on Sky or something. I'm not sure if we're able to rerun it, but certainly you can see some of the clips. 6-2.
A very good result, a great start.
Exactly that. It's good to see you, as always.
Thank you
Thanks
very
much indeed.